this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Class is in session. Please be seated. Behaviors that get attention get repeated. Avoid the power struggle cause it will get you heated. Listen to Amanda cause she knows how to teach it. Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Yeah, yeah,
Hello and welcome to the Parenting with a Punch show. I have a fabulous guest here with me today, Kat Blake. She is a divorce coach. Let's please give her a very warm welcome. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here with you today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you and learn all about the work that you do and working with parents going through divorce. I have very many clients right now that, or a few that are going through divorce and a few that have already gone through the process. So I somewhat understand the struggle and I know how important it is to have a support person in your corner and really just help you get through the process. So tell us what as a divorce coach, what are some of the things that you work on your clients with?
So people come to me probably at 3 different points. Some people come to me and they're trying to figure out whether or not they should go through the divorce process. Some people come to me as they're going through the process, and some people come to me afterwards if they're still triggered by their ex or they're having co-parenting issues or just can't get themselves emotionally free and ready to move on to new relationships. So everyone's coming in with kind of a different program to work through. And just like any coach, I help people move forward. So I give them homework and coach them on how to be their best selves.
That's awesome. And as we know, like so very much needed.
Yes.
So I know we've talked a little bit about sort of like the 2 biggest fears that, you know, you kind of come across when you're going through the divorce process. So what would you say are like the 2 biggest fears?
I would definitely say the 2 biggest fears are, I mean, there's a lot of them, but the 2 biggest ones are my financial situation going to be okay? Are my finances going to be okay? And then their children. They want to know that their kids are going to be okay getting through the process.
Right. Now, what do you typically see with the finances piece? I mean, you help navigate through that, correct?
Yeah, so I help people I really help people get organized so they can work with their attorneys and get down to the business of divorce. So part of that is helping them figure out what their budget is, what their living situation is, what they're entitled to through the divorce, and getting the paperwork together. So that way, when they go and meet with their attorney, they can think logically and actually sort through and figure out financially what makes the most sense for them.
Oh, I can only imagine. So, I mean, a lot of the times, whether or not there's a mediator involved, it kind of gets like away from the bigger topics, correct? Like there's a lot of emotions, of course, involved. Like how do you typically help your clients work through some of that?
Right. So I always tell people I save you money as you go through your divorce, because I think going through divorce for anybody is an emotional process. I mean, everything in your life is thrown up in the air and is up for negotiation. So what happens is people end up calling their attorneys with a lot of their emotional needs. And really the good attorneys don't really want to be paying attention to that. They just want to get down to the business of the divorce, because that's what divorce is. It's really a business transaction. So people call me and they talk about things like, my ex is making these allegations, my ex is saying I'm not a good parent, my ex has a girlfriend, I mean, you name it. And I actually help people sift through the information and figure out what we need to ignore and what we need to tell the attorney. And most of the stuff we actually do not need to tell the attorney, because it doesn't make actually much of difference in the court process.
Right.
It does.
I've gone through, 1 or 2 very close friends and family that have gone through the process. And I just remember, hearing about sort of the things that kind of got discussed. And I think one had a mediator and another did not. I can't really recall, but I think a lot of the times, do you find that attorneys will sort of like
make things worse?
Well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Or, I mean, do you find that they typically will try and say, like, tell their clients, like, this is not something that we do, or this is not something that, like, we sort of like work on, like maybe you should find another support. Like, do you come across that at all with some of the attorneys? Do you work?
Oh yeah. So I mean, so that's the thing. I work with attorneys and mediators, and I feel like the good ones actually want to work with me because I help give them a credible client.
Right.
So I give them a client who's dealt with the emotions with me, and they can actually go into their four-way meetings and into their negotiations with, not emotionally reacting to everything. But some attorneys, I will say, I do a lot of work with people who have personality disorders too, and I think that some attorneys, either they're not aware of it, they don't know how to diagnose it, and for some, it creates billable hours, honestly. So they might stir the pot, they might try to make the other parent discredit them as a person, just to kind of wear them down as they're going through the legal negotiation process.
Oh, that is awful. For
Yeah.
any parent going through that, I mean, how do you, like, you're already an emotional wreck going through the divorce process,
Right.
and if you have to forget about it,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah,
put
I mean,
that on top of the mix.
yeah, oh, it's awful. And then, I always tell people that when you're going through the divorce, you're sort of working from the lizard brain, which is that fight or flight mode. It's sort of it's the oldest part of our brain. And I try to help people get back into their higher functioning, logical decision-making mode so they can make good decisions for themselves and their kids.
That's very interesting. Yeah, because you had just mentioned that, you're able to sort of sift through and recognize some of the personality disorders. Now, your background is in social work?
Yeah, so I spent 20 years as a child and family therapist. And so that's actually how I got into this field because, as you know, 50% of first marriages end in divorce.
Yes.
And I was wanting to help my folks. And when I went back into the research, I realized there wasn't a whole lot of research to help me. And so we were kind of winging it together. And then I went through my own high conflict divorce and came out the other end and thinking there's just got to be a better way. I think the legal system is broken in many ways, and I don't think that it actually helps families in the best way it could.
Oh, that is, yeah. Yeah, and so you also have the personal experience in going through your own divorce. So you know some of the things, what not to look for and what to sort of focus on.
Right. So I help people avoid all the mistakes I made. That's what I tell them.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. They're the ones that are going to benefit from it greatly. When they get to the other side, they're going to look back and they're going to be like, amen.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, the kids piece, of course, that's such a hot topic, and we could probably talk forever about this topic, divorce in general, but then throw kids in. Do you find that parents have difficulty? It's evident to me because it's the work that I do. Parenting on the same page is obviously probably very difficult, but do you find that, is it more, and of course every case is going to be different, but are some parents sort of fighting for like the custody piece of it, or is it more so just like trying to get at each other because there's so many emotions involved? Like, how do you work through some of like the kids stuff and especially you being the background in mental health, like what would be your suggestions there for families in terms of like thinking about their children going through this process?
So, a lot of it is helping the parents kind of put their ego aside and realize that post-divorce things are going to be different. So here's a very common issue or topic that I deal with moms, especially moms who've been the primary parent. Now, they'll come to me and say, okay, now my husband's being the dad he should have been in the past. Now he's being more active. And I say, this is great. This is going to be the positive thing that comes out of this divorce is dad's going to be more involved in parenting. And mom has to, in some level, let go of her mama bear that comes out, right?
Yep.
And for, and that's not easy. It's not an easy thing. It kind of brings out the worst in all of us. But that's really what needs to happen in order to shift into a family that's post-divorce and thriving and doing well. But absolutely, I think it's not divorce that damages the children. And I think that's what parents' biggest fear is. It's how the parents behave post-divorce. That's the biggest issue. Like, are you using your children as a messenger? Are you trying to dominate your child's time to get back at your ex? Are you sending passive-aggressive messages to your children about their other parent? So those are the things that are really damaging. It's not the divorce itself.
Right. I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of us need to hear that. I mean, even for families that are still married and that may be struggling in the home, because again, we know the 50% rate of divorce,
Yeah.
right? And even less than that are actually happy. I think it's like, I don't even know. I don't think it's exact, of course, but I want to say it's like even 22% out of that 50 are even happy, which is really, really low. So I think it's important for parents to recognize that, the fighting in front of the children and like you just said about using each other as a pawn, or like, oh, well, your daddy said this, or just even talking about each other in front of your children can be so detrimental. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I always tell parents, like, biting your tongue is a pretty amazing skill that we have to practice. Because, and at the end of the day, here's the thing. What I see is children always figure it out in their own time when they're ready to deal with it. But you as a parent educating your child on how awful your husband or your wife was, or it's not going to help the child.
No.
And they do figure it out on their own, in their own way.
Right. And a lot of the times too, I mean, depending on the age, if the children are a little bit younger,
Right.
They may or may not, well, of course, they're not going to have the same exact experience as a child that's a little bit older.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my younger kids that are dealing with divorce, often what I see is a lot of somatic symptoms, a lot of anxiety, separation anxiety, not wanting to go to school, headaches. So it's more, I think it's harder for the younger kids to verbalize what they're really feeling. And usually they feel a whole mixed bag of emotions. And then the older kids, you get more of kind of the acting out stuff and the angry stuff, or refusing to speak to one of the parents, or so it's different in every situation, and definitely different for different age groups. So
it's so interesting because you literally just described, like, and even with the different ages, like exactly what it is with the clients that I see, because a lot of the clients that I work with have anxiety, and of course I'm working with parents, a lot on parenting on the same page, and there's already that unhealthy dynamic in the first place because, some of the behaviors are arising, right? So there's other underlying factors that are going on in the house. So it's just interesting to me because it just proves to you how important that healthy partnership is between you and your spouse.
Oh, absolutely. That's the most important relationship. So, when I was doing child and family therapy, I was providing anxiety coaching, and I would say that, at least half of the families would come in. I would do the anxiety coaching with the children, and then one of the parents would say, oh, by the way, this, we're having this issue. We're thinking about divorce. So the child is experiencing anxiety for a reason because they're picking up on the tension between the parents. So.
Yep. It's so true. It's just, I don't know, it never seems to amaze me in doing this work and working so closely. Now, do you see parents or individuals in person, virtual? Do you do a mix, or does it depend on the client?
So I do a mix. I'm actually starting an online divorce support group, which I'm really excited about. So I'm trying to get a little bit more virtual savvy.
Okay, great.
I do have an office here in Andover, and I host events in the community, but I'm also starting to do more online.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, where, for anyone that's looking for the online course, where can they find information? Are you still in the process of launching it?
So I'm still in the process of launching it. We're shooting for the end of September to get it going. And most people come to me, surprisingly, through my personal Facebook.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So if anyone is looking to get in touch with you, Kat Blake, well, would it be under your full name, Catherine, with a C?
It's actually under my full name. It's actually Catherine, Catharine Blake. Yep.
Fabulous. Okay, great. So for anyone that is looking for support or is thinking about going through a divorce, please reach out to Catherine. I have definitely can attest to the work that she does. She's amazing, and even especially with her background and experience.
I feel so passionate about doing this work and helping my families because, like I said, I think that sometimes the divorce process can make things worse, and if there's any residual emotions, the co-parenting isn't working well. So, it's really just coaching people on how to get unhooked and use their logical brain and put their kids' needs first, because that's the most important.
Absolutely. Amen. That is such a huge message for anyone that tunes into this episode to hear, because I mean, it can get better, it will get better, but you have to put yourself first and get through this process and not drag yourself and your children,
Absolutely.
through it.
And I'm also doing general coaching, so it's looking also at your mindset. How are you thinking about things? What are you personalizing? It's all of it, because mindset is key to everything.
Yes,
so
mindset is everything.
You can come out the other end thriving post-divorce. You can redefine your life. You can discover something, a new skill, a new hobby, new friends. Like, there's so much potential for greatness. And not get pumped down in the negativity.
Right. And then, and also in deserving of a partnership where you're extremely happy and you're working together as a team and all of the positive, attributions that are supposed to come with marriage, right?
Absolutely, right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was such a pleasure having you. And this is such an important topic, especially for me in the work that I do, because I try and help families, not want to get divorced so they can, work together and find love again and work through this, because it is possible, but you have to put in the work.
Yes. Absolutely. And I always tell people, just because I'm a divorce coach, I'm not pro-divorce. So, just this week, I actually had a client. I've been working with her for about a year, and she was working with a mediator and was heart set on divorce. And she started to think about it. And we started to think about all the ways it was going to impact her life. And she said, you know what? I need a referral to a couples therapist. I'm not ready for divorce at this point.
Oh, so, I hope it works out.
I always say people get married for the wrong reasons. People also get divorced for the wrong reasons. So I want you to make really good decisions, and you're doing it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on Parenting with the Punch show. Have a beautiful day, and we will definitely be connecting again soon. Thank you so much for tuning into Parenting with the Punch podcast. Remember, as always, keep asking for more. To book a family strategy call or get on the waiting list for in-home services, reach out, parentingwiththepunch.com. Thanks, y'all.
Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is Parenting with the Punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is Parenting with the Punch. Class is in session. Please be seated. Behaviors that get attention get repeated. Avoid the power struggle, cause it will get you heated. Listen to Amanda, cause she knows how to teach it. Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is Parenting with the Punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is Parenting with the Punch.